So welcome back everybody to PoolieMagTV, the raw, unedited, unscripted NUFC fan channel where everyone's got an opinion and nobody's opinion's wrong. And today's video and today's topic is Sandro Tonali loves Newcastle United. So, just wanted to bring this one to you because I know there's a lot of negativity going on in Newcastle land, you know, with the lack of signings and the lack of any real movement in this transfer window so far. We see a Manchester City buy players as we thought they would. We see a Manchester United buy players as you knew they would. Chelsea are on the radar, getting a few players too. Liverpool look like they're rebuilding strong. You know Arsenal are going to come in with having quite a few new players, and we just look again to be dilly-dallying and going in for set targets. Now, we don't seem to have any plan Bs in the transfer window. We just seem to have, I don't know, I'm not privy, obviously, I'm not privy to anything that the club does, but just from the outside looking in, it does look like we have set targets and we just go for them, and if we can't get them, we don't seem to move on to somebody else, we just move on completely. Now, we've got to change that, haven't we? We've got to change that. The transfer window is open till September, but look at Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong coming into Liverpool. We've got Cherky, we've got the lad from AC Milan, Ranalds is something like that, the midfielder. Quality players, I can't pronounce his name, but I know he's a good player. But you know, and Manchester United, got Cunha on the verge of getting them Buemo. Who are we getting? What are we getting? You know, we need this. Any outcomes in series, we've got no restrictions. Probably he's hindered us actually, because now we've got the Saudi tax. But we'd always have the Saudi tax anyway. And he said we need to strike while the iron's hot, and it doesn't look like we're doing that at the minute. But there is one saving grace, isn't there, from this whole, you know, saga, transfer window saga that we seem to dread at the minute, being a Newcastle fan, because we don't know if there's ever going to be any movement in any of it. You know, we just don't. But what I will tell you is, one of our finest exports, Sandro Tonali, has come out and said he's happy at Newcastle United. And that's massive, isn't it? He said he thinks about things, you know, he's thought about things in the past. Maybe he means going back to Italy and that, but at the minute, he is happy where he's at and he does not want to break any bonds. Sandro Tonali is going nowhere, at least for now. So, how do we keep a Sandro Tonali? Let's look at Sandro Tonali. He's played for Brescia, quality player for Brescia. Then went to his hometown team as a young 20-odd-year-old at AC Milan. Now, this isn't no Lecce or Chievo. This is AC Milan, the Rossoneri, the giants of Italian football. You know, and he went on to do wonders with them, didn't he? He won the league with them. He played in the Champions League with them. He's played with Rafael Leao and things like that. Which is why we wanted to sign him in the first place. This was our first real, I remember, I can't stand him. Rory Jennings, though, come out and said this is the first signing where Newcastle have actually pipped top teams to a player. And I think he was right. Probably was the first signing where, you know, a Man City or a Manchester United or a Chelsea or an Arsenal or a Bayern Munich or a Barcelona were probably really looking at this guy, and we got him. Now he scored on his debut against Aston Villa, and he looked really well up until around about the September mark, and then we obviously started to find out about the gambling and things like that, and he was suspended for 10 months. He went away, and this is what brought the loyalty and the love to the club, because the fans kept cheering his name. The fans never turned his back on him. Eddie Howe never turned his back on them. The club never turned their back on him. And Sandro Tonali come back last season, re-energised, didn't he? You know, reinvigorated. He was a mountain of a man. He looked like he put a stone of muscle on. He looked like he'd been training hard. He'd been running them extra miles in training. He'd clearly been working on his shooting, because Nick Pope said he's never had to stop a harder shot than a Sandro Tonali shot. You know, and Sandro Tonali just come in and he couldn't get a game over Longstaff to begin with, which is infuriating, wasn't it? We were all sitting there ripping our hair out, but it was only a matter of time. Eddie Howe doesn't bring players back straight away. We need to know that, don't we? We've got to know that now with Eddie Howe. And what happened was Sandro Tonali come in and he turned Newcastle's season around, not single-handedly, by the way, but he uplifted the likes of Bruno, who was struggling at the time. He uplifted the likes of Isaac. He uplifted the likes of Harvey Barnes and Gordon and Jacob Murphy. Playing alongside Sandro Tonali made our players better. And there's nothing finer to listen to. And I know this news is over a week old, but still, I thought I'd bring a ray of sunshine over this whole cloud of misery that's been coming on the other NUFC fan channels, and actually dedicate a full video. Instead of just having this as a little snippet at the end of a video, and the rest of your video being, you know, a little bit dour and a little bit down, you've got the right to be entitled to that opinion. As my channel says, you know, you've got everybody's opinion's right, nobody's opinion's wrong, you know. But for me, I want to be a beacon of positivity, and the fact that we can hold on to somebody like Sandro Tonali, somebody who did turn our season around, somebody who is legitimately world-class in my opinion, and somebody who is probably the best centre midfielder I've seen in a Newcastle shirt. I can't remember a better centre midfielder. You know, Johan Cabaye springs to mind. He was quality, wasn't he? Cabaye was quality. You know, we've had Rob Lee, we've had Gary Speed, we've had some great centre mids, but I don't think any of them have been better than Sandro Tonali, in my humble opinion. I really don't. And the fact that he's come out and now he's, you know, he looks settled in Newcastle, his wife's settled in Newcastle. You know, they did that, A Day in the Life of Sandro Tonali or whatever it was on Newcastle United TV, you know, on the YouTube channel. And that was a great watch. You know, he's learning how to speak a little bit of Geordie. He's starting to find his feet in Newcastle. You know, Newcastle's a lovely city. It's my favourite place to go. You know, I'm from Hartlepool, a biggish town in the northeast of England. But you go to Newcastle and it's just, you know, it's hustling and bustling, but not to the point like London is, where you can't get a seat or people are just walking past you. It's a lovely, friendly city. And I think Sandro Tonali's finding out that us northeast people are friendly people in the main. You know, and he just seems to love it at Newcastle United. And why wouldn't he? The fans never turned their back on him, and neither did the club, and now he's repaying that favour. Now, with that, we're going to have to sign players of his ilk to keep him. We're going to have to start getting more trophies. We are going to have to start winning big games and getting into the Champions League regular. Because make no bones about this. If we don't win something next season, or we don't get the Champions League again, Sandro Tonali ain't going to stay. But for this season, we can categorically guarantee now Sandro Tonali is going nowhere. And that's massive for us. That is massive. And the fact that this seems to be overshadowed by certain fans, you know, because we want more, we want new shiny toys to play with. Well, let's keep the ones that we've got that happy, yeah? Let's keep our world-class players happy. And the fact that we've managed to keep this world-class player happy, you know, can only do us wonders on the pitch next season, can't it? Let's see if we can add a couple of 3 or 4 more players of his ilk, and let's see where it takes us. But Sandro Tonali is black and white, at least for another season. Comment down below your thoughts on this video. You know, moving forward, I'm going to bring out 2 videos a week. You know, I don't have time to keep up with all the transfer news and bring breaking news, do 2-3 videos a day. So moving forward, I'm on holiday all next week. But after that, I'm going to bring down 2 videos. I'm going to bring out a Newcastle roundup, which will be aired on a Wednesday at 7 PM. And then I'm going to bring out obviously a Newcastle United related video on a Friday, 7 PM. It could be more modern stuff. It could be a season review. It could be a player profile. It could be something that I want. Obviously, when I start getting more comments and people start commenting on what content I like, then the Friday might change to a more modern thing. Or you might just enjoy what I do on a Friday. It's going to just be a little bit of a random video. You know, we're going to have a transfer roundup on a Wednesday. You know, that's going to be an in-depth about everybody who we link with at that time that I can talk about comfortably. You know, might be a 15-20 minute video, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a shorter video, maybe it's a 10-minute video. It could be the top 5 series returning, could be things like that. You know, I've got a Newcastle United 90s review to do with me dad. You know, so that things like that will be airing on a Friday. But I just wanted this to come out for Friday. It's Friday tomorrow. I'm doing it on Thursday morning, but you'll see it at 7 o'clock on Friday. You know, and I just wanted this to be a little bit more of an upbeat video going into your weekend. So like I always say, comment down below, hit like, subscribe and share the channel, help it grow. Let's have a bit of crack, let's have a bit of banter moving into the next season. Anyway, keep it black and white, keep it PoolieMagTV, and enjoy your weekend. Over and out, folks.